Hey, Steven.
Yo.
Do you know I got 3 new bowling balls?
Ooh, what colors?
Well, one's called the Proton Physics, and that one is purple, pink, and black, and maybe blue.
Sweet.
And it smells like vanilla.
Ooh, lovely.
The other one is called the Wolverine Dark Moss, and the other is called the Idol Cosmos.
Is the Wolverine yellow and black?
No, Wolverine is greenish moss color. I'm not a big fan of the color of that ball. No. But you know what would be interesting, Steven?
What?
I think I would be a really good ball namer because just like presets, I would be a great ball namer. I'm like, guys, show me a ball and I'm going to name it, right?
Yeah, but with presets, I'll be like, okay, this does this. It affects these colors. And you're like, okay, it's going to be called some random name that has nothing to do with the preset.
Do you think Dark Moss or Idol Cosmos has anything to do with the ball?
Well, color-wise, Dark Moss, didn't you say it was a green ball?
Yeah, but then I've got the ball called the, Speed, or there's one called the Black Widow Pearl.
Ooh, that sounds cool.
That's white.
There you go.
Pearl. Yeah. It looks like a pearl, and I throw that one. That one's cool. But what's cool about these balls is they've got all these different interior weights inside. It's like super interesting how it all is. And one day we'll go to the bowling factory. If we do get that show that I'm trying to do, we'll go to the bowling factory and we'll get to see it.
The one bowling center that you go to is right near me, right?
Bolero, yes, but I don't mean ball center. I mean like Storm Bowling or Brunswick, where they actually make the balls.
Mm-hmm. Very cool.
Where they're like, this is the technology to make the balls smell good.
Ooh.
Because Storm's balls smell good. Anyway, I'm Jared. You're Steven. This is RAWtalk episode 10. Got that out of the way.
There you go.
Good. You could text us your
moving
stuff.
on.
People do. I'm not moving on. I'm coming back to bowling. People do text us. 313-710-9729. 313-710-9729. The texts do come in. I bowled terrible on Tuesday after I got the 3 balls drilled. I think there was something with the fingers I didn't like, so I had them change out the finger rubbers, the fingertips. They were too tight, so I made them a little looser. And what's weird is I bowl like shit Tuesdays, and then I guess because I practiced on Tuesday, and I bowl again in a league on Wednesday, which the league kind of sucks. This summer league on Wednesday sucks. The Tuesday league's really good. There's guys I'll get to that in a second. There's guys in the league and girls on Tuesdays that are like 220 bowlers. They average 220, right? If they don't do that, I could average 220 if I didn't miss my fucking spares.
Yeah.
Like, damn,
it's not hard, Jared.
Miss the fucking no, it's not. So I got to break out the spare ball and see about hitting just the 7-pin. Don't laugh at me, Steven. It's not funny. I don't get angry or kick the ball return. I don't kick the ball return.
No.
I kicked the ball return last week, and this woman was like, I sit down. Like, I don't get angry at anybody else at the bowling center, right? It's all angered at myself. I'm like, fuck you, ball return. Or even if I get a strike, I'm like, fuck you, pins. Like, that's right. You should fall, you fuckers.
You're essentially Happy Gilmore, like yelling at the ball.
Well, I'll be like, fuck you, pins, and I will give the pins the finger.
Oh,
honestly.
I believe
it. And then I got upset and I kicked the ball return. It wasn't even hard. I hit it in a certain point that it made a loud crack. And this woman on the other team, as I was sitting in the chair, just sitting there quiet, she's like, says to her team, "Is it safe to walk?" And I was like, "What? You think I'm gonna fucking kick you?"
You never know.
No,
I don't think you would ever do that.
I don't get angry at other people.
Yeah, but you're showing your anger off to everybody else, and they're like, whoa, we got to let this guy cool down for a second.
Now I've been internalizing it better. Because there's in the Wednesday league, there's this one bowler. She's very upset with me all the time.
Why? Because you get
girl,
angry?
She was like, I may be drunk, but I'm just going to tell you what I'm thinking. Oh, she did. She told me what she thought after the fact, and she's like, you seem to be very angry. I'm like, just
accurate.
She's like, you wear your own shirts. That's aggressive. I'm like, no. That's not aggressive. That's you being judge fucking mental.
Yeah,
see,
I wouldn't say it's aggressive.
Like, I love when people start to, and I'm like, cool. I'm like, yeah, you get it. I'm like, yeah, I do come across like this. She's like, and you're like a good bowler, but you get upset if you don't bowl well. I'm like, that's how I get with everything.
You're very competitive. Yes.
Because I want it. This is how I am. And I take it seriously, even if you don't take it seriously.
I mean, unfortunately, you are truly a sore loser. You get very upset.
No. Steven, there's a difference between no.
At yourself,
you don't understand.
I'm saying. At
yes,
yourself.
There's a difference between a sore loser and someone who's tough on themselves and gets angry. Because a sore loser is someone who won't shake the other team's hand after the match, or the sore loser is someone who's like, we should have won, but we lost.
I'm just
right?
saying in general,
No.
they're angry.
No. Sore loser. No.
That's
In
how
sports,
that's how I define it.
Sore loser. No, a sore loser is someone who can't lose and then give props to the other team because they, you lost. Like that's fine. No. I get angry with myself and I get despondent and a little upset. I'm not as bad as I used to, but really it can affect my day if I don't bowl well.
Sure.
I really don't like it, but I've gotten better at, you get over it. So one guy, I threw a bad ball on Tuesday, right? Tuesday night league. And I was like, fucking suck, fucking shit. Like to myself. I didn't actually say all that out loud. And this guy's sitting next to me and he has one of those vibrating muscle massagers and I'm fucking like pissed off. And he puts it on me and I start laughing. He's like, I thought you could use this. I was like, that's funny because it instantly was funny because he put it on my balls. No, I'm kidding. He didn't. He didn't.
That's the story.
He put it on me. He put it on my thigh or my leg or my back or something, and it was kind of funny. And I was like, yeah, that's funny. And he's like, I thought you could use this. I'm like, that was kind of funny.
Jared,
but yeah,
did all this stem from your father growing up? Your anger issues?
Yes.
Every therapy
I watched
session's
him
like,
play.
it's my dad.
That's how I watched how he played. But and then on Wednesday, I always have this issue with this one team because they like to talk and they don't like to go when it's their time to bowl. Mm-hmm. Like there's a bowling etiquette, right? There's a flow to bowling. If you have 4 people on your team and they have 4 people on your team, you know which person you follow. So if Dan, is that the money truck? I'm sorry, I just heard beeping. I didn't know if the money truck was coming to the door right
Which
now.
one? Canon, Sony, or Nikon?
No, don't tell anybody. It's actually Nikon money truck. So if Dan goes before me, I know that after Dan's done bowling, it's my turn to bowl. So this other team, like they refuse to go if they are slightly ahead, right? In terms of if we're on our fourth bowler or third bowler's going and their light's blinking that the other person can go, sometimes they just don't go. And it's frustrating because it's just like there's a flow to bowling.
Ready to play, ready to play.
Like, let's go. And so we've had arguments about it in the past, and then we've gotten a little better. And then yesterday, the one person, it was their turn to go twice. They were on both lanes, left and right, because they didn't go. They weren't around. So when they finally come in like 10 minutes later with a drink, they were standing outside at the bar talking to someone. And I'm like, you're up on both sides.
I would assume that there's 2 types of people that bowl. There's the people that just want a night out. They have some drinks. They get drunk. They're just playing with friends. And then there's people like you that take it very seriously. And you're like, go, go, go. We need to play. Right? Is that kind of the 2 types of people?
Within reason on the speed thing. But no, I'm competitive. I don't go out and bowl in a league to fuck around, to drink, to party, to not have a good, like, I can enjoy it. No, I can't enjoy it. Fuck that. I can go out and bowl, but I like to bowl, right? I don't care if the other team is better. I hate when the other team sucks, to be honest with you, because then there's a handicap. They get like more to start. If anybody that knows bowling, we were down 198 pins to start. We ended up winning all 3 games. We won the first one by 29, the second one by 45, and I don't know how much we won the third by, but we had to make up 200 pins. That's how bad this other team is in general. And there's teams that are worse.
That was my team.
I just don't like bowling bad teams just because it's not enjoyable, right? To lose to teams sometimes that just, if someone has a 100 average or a 90 average and they accidentally throw a 150, it's almost impossible to beat them at that point because they get so many extra pins over. Anyway, that's getting into the weeds there.
Do you get to pick your own team, by the way?
Yeah, well, I actually didn't hear. I just filled in where another team needed a person.
Okay.
Because I'm like, I wasn't going to bowl in this league in the summer because I bowl on Tuesdays, but I just really like bowling. So I said to the guy, just put me on a team, and he put me on a team. So that's fine. But this other team, they always have this issue, and they do it on purpose. They're like, oh, where do you have to be? She actually said that to me last night. Like, where do you have to be? And I'm like, well, that's not an acceptable question to ask me. That's my time, right? You shouldn't be being like, well, where do you have to go later? Be respectful of my time, my teammates' time, your teammates' time. That's none of my business, because she got upset when I said something like, you have to go twice. You're actually up twice. I'm like, It's one thing if you have to go to the bathroom, right? It's one thing if there's an issue and you go to the bathroom and we're waiting because you went to the bathroom. That's like a different thing. But if you're outside standing and talking to someone for 10 minutes and not paying attention that you are bowling, and you're actually up twice because everybody else has bowled 2 times before you've bowled once, that's a thing. Just don't give me sass. I'm like, no, that's not sass. It's fact. It's just fact. It's not sass. It's like, you're up twice.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I just tried. I'm not going to win. I'm not going to win the discussion. But I did say something to the one teammate. I'm like, I know I'm not going to have it get anywhere with this. But I'm like, it's not really right to say, what do you have to do later? That's not right. And they've done that to Dan, and Dan's like, well, I got a kid. I want to spend time with my kid. I want to get home and spend time with my kid.
Sure.
So shit like that. Anyway, I hope they don't listen to this, because they'll be even more upset, because this is just how it is.
I mean, it's going to be pretty hard to find your website. It's not like it's on your shirt or anything.
Nah, it's on the. Yeah. It's a little aggressive that you're wearing that shirt.
Because you're wearing the bowling shirt, right?
No, I stopped. I like my tight shirt, either sleeveless or not. Yeah, it's too loose and it's too hot. It's like the material doesn't wick enough the way that it should, and so it gets me too hot. But I do look sexy in it.
It's a pretty sweet shirt. I'm not going to lie.
You want one? I could order one
I'll
with my
never
name
wear it,
on the back. Well, the thing is, the place Coolwick are the least responsive people in the history of responsiveness.
Really?
Months of not hearing anybody, they forget about you. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, hey, I'd like to order these shirts. Can you put it up on the website so that I can order my own, and I can put a link out and you can make the money off of them when my people buy them, because I just want people to be able to order them? Nothing.
What's a shirt like that cost? Custom made.
What are they, like $60 maybe?
It's not terrible.
Let me actually look up Coolwick bowling. Let's see how much Belmo's shirts are. Oh, that's a shitty photo of a guy smiling. Your name here. Anywhere like $89. Oh no, that's not a shirt. That's $50 for a shitty shirt. Yeah, they're like $50 to $60, $70, depending on what they have to do and the material that you use.
Okay.
All right, should we move on from bowling?
Yes, please.
Because I want to talk about more bowling, Steven. I really like bowling.
You do.
And if I won the lottery, did you get my Venmo? Because you won something from the lottery.
Did I really?
Yeah, $2. We won $4.
I didn't get $2.
I sent it to you via Venmo.
Oh, I'm checking right now. Trust me.
I was like, your winnings.
I want my $2, damn it.
I sent you your $2.
I do. I have a $2 budget, or a $2 balance.
I sent you $2 because we won $2. We both spent $25 trying to win the Mega Millions, which was $1.3 billion. You know what pisses me off? I see these a lot of stuff. Not bowling on your turn, all that.
No way.
But you look at Instagram and you get these people that share these stories, and they're like, the government taxed, the government made $848 million, and the winner only gets $425 million. And it's like, so they're saying the tax was $840 million. That is wrong. That is blatantly false. At least I think it is. And the reason I say that is because there's 2 options when you win a Powerball or you win the lottery. One option is you take the lump sum cash payment. The lump sum is half of 1.3 billion, right? Which is $675 million dollars. So that's what gets taxed, which means, yes, you have 400, you're going to get taxed at like 40-some%. You're going to take 250 million off of that, and yes, you're left with that. But the tax is 250 million, not 848 million. See, that's the thing, is like these fucking people share memes all the time, and they're false and wrong or just off. And if I'm off, you guys fucking text me, because I don't think I'm off. 313-710-9729. But if you took the annuity, which is 1.3 billion spread out over 29 years, you pay taxes on the 35, about $40 million a year, not taxes, but you get about 40 million. You pay taxes on that each year, but at the end, you ended up getting 1.3 some billion after 29 years. So
I'd prefer that route for sure.
Well, that's one way, but some people are like, well, if you're good with money and good with finance and investing, then you can take the 400 and some million that you would get and turn that into more over 30-year period of time. But I mean, you could also live off of interest on 400. You put four, but that's how annuity works. It's based off of interest. It gets put away, and then you end up getting part of it each year, and then it accrues money over 29 years. So that interest ends up building. So it's not anyway. I just hate seeing memes. Like, people post shit all the time, and you're like, yeah, it's not exactly
Jared,
what
it's
happened.
on the internet. It must be real. It must be facts.
And it always pisses me off because it's not exactly what happened. It's like part of what you wrote is true, but it's also ignoring the other 3 parts of that story. Fuck off. Anyway, you shot a baptism. Speaking of fucking off, you shot a baptism this weekend?
I did. My friends, they just recently had twins, and they both got baptized this past weekend on Sunday. So I wanted to make sure I gave the gift of photography and offered my services to them. It went well, for sure. I
like offering my services to women.
The rough part is the insane mixed lighting that you deal with in most churches, because you have these giant panels, windows that are bringing in all this daylight. And on top of that, you have this tungsten, weird, harsh mixed lighting on top of you. So you're dealing with this weird color shift and white balance throughout the entire venue for the most part. So that was one thing that I had to deal with. And instead of putting it in simply an auto white balance and the camera trying to fight to find what the correct white balance is, I ended up locking it in around 4,400 Kelvin and going from there. And honestly, with working with presets and all that stuff in the past, I've found that if you lock it in, the raw file, I know you can really change it to anything after the fact, but if you get it really close to what it actually should be, it ends up being much better color-wise after the fact when you're editing, versus just trying to go auto white balance and it being, 3,000 Kelvin off or something like that. It should be daylight versus tungsten or whatever it may be, or anywhere in between. So,
did you have any issues with the priest? Did he try to touch you?
I had no issues with the priest, but speaking of him, I did ask right beforehand. I said, hey, where can I go? Is there anything off limits? Just like you're shooting a wedding, like, can I go on the altar? Can I go behind here? Can I go wherever? And he actually has an A7 III, I think he said. So he dabbles with photography on the side, and he's like, go wherever you want. Be Mr. Paparazzo and do your thing. I don't care.
Oh, no, he didn't.
He did kept referring to me as
do not
paparazzi over there. Paparazzi, come on.
Dude, I'd be like, excuse me, priest, fuck you, for one. I could say that because we're in a church. 2, don't fucking call me a paparazzi because I'll call you a pedophile. How does that feel? Because it's almost the same thing. Calling me a paparazzi is very negative. That's
I don't think he meant to be degrading, though.
Well, then you should have just been like, excuse me, pedophile over there. Hey, you. Christ. How does that work, Steven? How do you think you like that? How does it make you feel? That's what I would say. Don't call me a paparazzi ever again, priest.
But that was the one issue, is every once in a while he'd be like, come over here, take the picture, like we're all together. And I'm like, no, just let me do my thing, fly on the wall. It's not great lighting where you're at. I'd rather get you closer to the window or something like that. So I would just pretend to take a photo or two and be like, yeah, I got it.
It's always like that, where people are like, take this, and then people turn around and they're like,
and it's backlit or something ridiculous.
Terribly. I'm like, guys, this is terrible. Let me do my thing. You just spray holy water on those babies that you got from Jesus and turn them into baptized little babies.
Well, and speaking of that, when they're actually getting baptized, that's the hard part. It happens literally in a split second, and you're trying to go over the shoulder or try and get the shot of him actually baptizing the newborn.
They try to drown them in water?
They basically sprinkle holy water on top of their head.
Hello, you are now.
They don't sound like that, though. This isn't temple.
Oh, holy night, the stars are brightly shining.
Is that Cartman?
It's in the dawn of our sweet Savior play.
But I kept thinking, I spoke to you yesterday about this, that I was either getting in the way or maybe making noise with the camera. So I debated in the beginning, I'm with the R5 shooting, do I go electronic shutter and deal with maybe some warping or maybe some flickering, or do I stick with mechanical and maybe make some slight noise? So I stuck with mechanical just to be safe and, get the best shots possible. And after the fact, everyone's like, I didn't even know you were taking photos. Did you take pictures? Like, I didn't hear anything from the camera because that shutter is so whisper quiet.
Steven, that's because you're a master paparazzo.
Even yesterday when we were taking pictures, thumbnails from the user guide, I was taking photos and you're like, are you taking pictures? And I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't tell that you were taking pictures, and it was kind of like, because I usually like to move like a model, because I hear the click, I move. I hear the click, I move. I hear the click, I move, which is fine for when we're shooting thumbnails, but not fine for shooting model pictures, which is really frustrating.
Yeah, and you have the R5, which has, again, like a very quiet shutter sound versus, say, something like the R7 that we were doing the user guide with, and it's super loud. So I would stick with the R5 if you are shooting a quiet event. It's still very, very quiet to use the mechanical shutter. Anyway, we ended up moving to group pictures at the end, and again, this whole venue, the hard part is crazy mixed lighting, but where we were at in the middle was more dedicated tungsten lighting versus the daylight, since we were more in the middle of the venue. And I ended up using my Magmod gels, which are like CTO gels, and they come in quarter, half, full stop increments. So I ended up doing a quarter CTO gel to bring down my 5600 Kelvin flash to about 4400 to match the ambient light. And then from there, all your pictures are even, your skin tones look great, you're not dealing with weird mixed lighting or green tints or magenta, So it worked out really well. And this is not a plug, I do really like Magmod's accessories for flashes, except they're very expensive, I will say that.
This fix is not brought to you by Magmod. Magmod, making accessories since 2013.
But overall, great experience. We got awesome photos. My friends love the pictures, so it came out great. I always get nervous, though, trying to shoot these things because, again, it happens in an instant, and you're trying to capture the most important moments, the baptism, the group photos, stuff like that, and it's not easy.
Is it really important, Steven?
To them, it is.
World, eternal
not
damnation.
Not to someone like you.
Eternal damnation. What was that? What was the last part?
Mr. Atheist.
I'm not an atheist. I just don't practice.
Yeah.
I'm a Jew, but I don't like synagogue. I've said it a million times. The only thing I like is community. And speaking of, this is part of the notes that I made. One of the most difficult things about what I do and what we do is I get left to my own devices a lot, and it's really not great during the day.
No, it is not.
It's not. Like, I have resources. I have the ability to do almost anything I want to do, but you can't just go and do all this shit all the time, because it's just like, I can't be fully doing something all the time nonstop. Like, I need to be experiencing life. I think that's one of the misconceptions that people have, is that you must be doing something all the time Instagram worthy or TikTok worthy at this point, but that's showing off, that's doing something that,
your highlight
oh my God,
reel.
these people are having a great time.
Yep.
But really there's regular parts of life where people are like, you need to enjoy every day to its fullest. And that's like just misleading, because it's not like that. And so it's very difficult for me when Steven is doing one thing at home, working, because he works from home now. Dan works from home now officially all the time. And so it's like, when they're busy editing because we shot 2 weeks ago, but I've got a whole week of me just sitting here at work trying to do busy stuff or write scripts for some shit and maybe write fix and film fix. Yeah, that takes a couple of hours a day, but then a lot of it is, okay, now I'm here by myself just going through emails and all of that.
Well, and typically Monday and Tuesday, you're pretty much done all that quote unquote busy work, and then you're left to your own vices and you're like, oh man, what am I going to do for the next 3 days?
Right, and I don't want to be like, oh, I want to go test this lens out at the zoo again. It's literally me looking to fill time just to fill time, but I don't think in reality that there's anything actually inherently wrong with that, because other people have jobs and they go, I mean, this is a job, but they go to the job and they're like 8 hours and they know that's their focus, and then they leave. I don't have to be here to do stuff. Like, I don't have to.
The luxury of being an entrepreneur is you can put all the work on us and go do your thing and do whatever you want, and then on time to time we film again and do whatever.
But I don't have that thing. Like, there's not much else. It's like, what am I going to go do? Ride my bike by myself again? And that's just, that's the shit that wears on me.
Sure.
But what helps is the converse of that is, you were here yesterday. We were filming. I had someone else to talk to. I felt accomplished for the day. And when I left, it was fine, because then I had my dinner with a friend, and then I had bowling. So it felt like I had something other than just, I've got to spend all day here, and then I've got bowling later. So it's passing time to pass time.
Exactly. And I had told you, I said, I always say, I'll do whatever you want. If you want me to come in and film and keep you sane, that's totally fine. We can fill the time, fill the day with busy work. It needs to be done regardless. But the unfortunate part is we're both our plates are full as of now, me and Dan. So it won't get touched for another, I don't know, few weeks maybe. Who knows? But it still needs to be done regardless. But I still think I should be coming in 1 to 2 days a week for the most part to try and film and keep you busy, and again, keep you kind of sane and doing stuff.
I agree. And it's not always like, I need to go do this shoot, because then it's like 1 or 2 hours I go out and I shoot and I do something, but then I now have more content to do stuff with. And it's not even about editing it. That's fine. I don't mind editing photos and doing all that. And yes, a lot of this is first world problems for what we've created here. But this has always been a thing with me, even going back to when I wasn't successful. It was always sitting around, and I found that the best feelings came from being around other people. So I schedule dinners and I go out to dinners with friends, and that's awesome. Or when Steven's here shooting, that's great. Or on the weekends I'm playing my brother in pickleball or going swimming, which is fine, or I ride my bike, but it's really the community aspect. And that's where the religion part, I think a lot of people like about religion, is the comfort they get from being around other people. It's, in my opinion, not so much about the religious aspect. It's the being around all these people, maybe like-minded or somewhat, but they have a better feeling when they're in a community together.
Yeah. Yep.
And so that's what helps me the most. And it's true. It changes my mood when I'm around other people. It makes me feel accomplished to be around interesting and cool people, not so much the not interesting people. I don't want to sit and have small talk. I don't want bullshit. I want to talk real deal shit. I just can't stand small talk.
And for someone like you, I feel like you feel that you need to have a 9 to 5 almost style. Like, I need to fill my work day up until 5 o'clock with something. I have to be at the studio. I can't be out riding my bike on a Tuesday at 10 a.m. Like, do you feel like that's how you kind of run things?
I feel like I need to be here because that just feels like what I'm supposed to be doing. And it doesn't mean that I shouldn't. I mean, I work out early in the morning. So if I work out at 6:30 to 7:30, I'm into work by 8, right? Or 8:30 at the latest most days. Today I was in probably before 8 because I don't work out on a Thursday because yesterday was leg day. And I feel like I need to spend some time here, because then what else would I be doing? So a lot of times after work, 4:30-ish, 5 o'clock, before 5, I'll go scoot down the La Colombe and I'll drink tea. But that's just to fill an hour before I do dinner somewhere or meet with other people. And so it's just like, then I tried doing rock climbing at one point, and I didn't like how my hands hurt. And that was just another way of filling things. I'd go drink tea until they closed at 6. Then I'd go to rock climbing for an hour, and then I liked going if I could talk to people. And it was during the pandemic, so everybody had masks on. But I started to talk to people, and that was always cool. I didn't even need to climb. I just liked being around people because I could spend all day by myself. And that's why I don't like being all by myself. People are like, why don't you go on a vacation by yourself? I'm like, because I don't want to do that. I want to experience it with other people. I also don't want to make the mistake ever again of going to museums without doing tour guides.
Yeah.
Like, I went to the Barnes recently again. I got a membership because I wanted to fill my time during a Tuesday, or what was it? And it wasn't Tuesday. It was last Thursday. I was like, I'm going to go do the Barnes. But unfortunately, they didn't have one of the 1-hour tours left for me to buy. And I went and I'm like, this sucks because there's no other information about the photo, the images on the wall, the paintings. And so it's just you walking around just looking at shit, not knowing the story. I want to know the fucking story. I want to pay a private person, a private docent, to take me around and give me all the information, even if it says minimum of 2 for a private. So I'll just buy 2 for myself and just go. I don't care if it costs me more money. I just feel like it's a good use of time. And I'm ranting here. I could get a better understanding of the art and a good use of time and resources to learn as much as possible from that person in that time. Anyway. That's me.
Like Polin, when we had the tour guide.
Yes, we had a tour guide that picked us up in a Mercedes
and forgot to wear deodorant every day
in Warsaw. No, that the different guy. That was the guy who took us to Krakow.
That guy.
I'm thinking of the woman and the.
She was great.
She was very good. They took us around. That was great to have a tour guide.
Yeah.
And then the other tour guide, we've talked about this before, picked us up in Warsaw and drove us to Auschwitz, and then drove us to Krakow.
Yeah.
But that's how they did it. It's like, don't take the trains. The trains aren't reliable. We have this person. And it wasn't even expensive because it wasn't even expensive. So they drove us the 4 freaking hours there. The guy was super nice.
He was.
And Krakow was gorgeous. I think I handed him a $50 bill at the end of the day, American dollars. I handed him a $50 bill, and that's a lot of zlotys. So, okay. Anyway, you want to jump into Instagram again? Follow up on that. I talked about this in Photo News Fix that we'd be going in a little deeper about what changed.
Let's do it,
because there was a little bit of change.
Did that change hit your app?
No, I didn't have it, thankfully. But back when they were testing the hiding likes, that was so frustrating because I was one of the people who couldn't see likes.
Because I thrive off likes.
No, I couldn't see other people's likes, right? I couldn't see how many likes this person had because that's how I quantify people's success is how many likes they're getting just to look. But I couldn't see it on this account. But if I opened a different account, I could. It was really freaking annoying. Well,
and you said the recent photo you posted got almost 300 likes or something. Nothing.
Yeah, it was horrible. After 7 hours, the photo had 304 likes, and I'm like, "Are you fucking kidding me?"
And do you think that's because of this new algorithm that they had, or were testing out, or
they changed something? Yeah, whatever they're changing, they changed, like devalued this photo. It only has 16 comments and 629 likes, and that's from 2 days ago.
From your account that has nearly 300,000 followers.
Yeah, 258, but I haven't added. I'm at 258. I've been at 258 for a year. And the same thing I saw Michael Rappaport saying to this guy. He was sending a message like, yeah, tell me shadow banning doesn't exist. He's like, I've been at the same follower count for the last year and haven't been able to grow. I haven't really been able to grow at all on Instagram.
I mean, it's similar to YouTube where, it's very hard to gain subscriber numbers, but we're still luckily sustaining views. But it's hard to gain those new subscribers.
Yeah, like the picture before is a picture I'm in, has 2,452 likes. And then the one that I posted, a meme that said, Nikon photographers be like, I meant to do that, and it's out of focus on the bird behind the bride and groom. That has 8,742 likes, which is the most likes that I get, ever get, is when I post a meme. So it's just like, they encourage you to fucking post memes. I should just post people's memes all the time and become a meme channel, or pictures of me do better. But a photo that I took, 17 years ago, I posted of my photo passes. I did a story and I said, this is insane that this has 304 likes and that's it after 7 hours. And someone's like, I didn't even see this in my feed. So yeah, they keep doing changes. And one of those changes we discussed last week, and that was big in the news for the last 2 weeks, was that Instagram was doing trying to be more TikTok, devaluing photos while propping up videos, and then saying that videos are doing better and there's more interaction because that's what they're propping up.
That's what they're showing.
Well, the headline here from The Verge says Instagram is walking back its changes for now, and it says Adam Mosseri explains why. And their subheadline is "Say goodbye to TikTok-style feed and at least some of those recommendations." I'll read the article to you. Instagram will walk back some recent changes to the product following a week of mounting criticism, the company said today. A test version of the app that opened to full-screen photos and video will be phased out over the next 1 to 2 weeks. And Instagram will also reduce the number of recommended posts in the app as it works to improve its algorithms. I don't know if you've noticed it, but it's like you'll get recommended posts. You're like, I don't follow this.
Yeah.
Why am I seeing this? And then I didn't even know until Adam said it last week in a video that you can click and say, don't show me recommendations from similar to so-and-so ever again. I don't want recommendations. I don't want to discover other fucking people's channels. I really don't. I want to follow people that I want to follow, and I don't want bullshit, shitty recommendations that they have.
Agreed.
So that's nonstop. So they phase out over the next week or two, and Instagram will also reduce the number of recommendation posts in the app as it works to improve its algorithms. And here's the quote from Adam. I'm glad we took a risk. If we're not failing every once in a while, we're not thinking big enough or bold enough, Instagram chief Adam Mosseri said in an interview, and I quote, but we definitely need to take a big step back and regroup. When we've learned a lot, then we come back with some sort of new idea or iteration, so we're going to work through that.
I smell bullshit.
This is typical bullshit that I'm glad we took a risk. If we're not failing every once in a while,
every company loves taking risks.
We're not thinking big enough or bold enough. It's like,
hey, I'm sure. Do you think he went and patted everyone on the back like, good job, guys. We took a risk.
Good job.
It didn't work out, but good job failing. Yeah. Okay.
That's the mentality of Silicon Valley.
Oh my God.
That's the work fast and break things, or like that was, I think, Google's thing was work fast and break things.
Here's a participation trophy. We didn't get number one, but good for trying.
But they're in their defense, they feel like if they don't fail, they don't succeed by learning from what they failed at. So I kind of get it. They throw a bunch of shit against the wall and something works and something doesn't. Yeah. But this is just lip service right now. Yes, they're going to not do that thing that people didn't like, but they're going to find something that they do like, or they're going to tweak it now that they've learned and broke it, and they're going to come up with something else that's going to be even worse, because it even goes on to say that. So, let's see. Redesigns often incur the wrath of users who are hostile to change, but in this case, the high-profile dissatisfaction was backed up by the Instagram's own internal data. Mosseri said the trend towards users watching more videos is real and predated the rise of TikTok, he said, but it's clear that people actually do dislike Instagram's design changes. All right, but then it says, quote, for the new feed design, people are frustrated and the usage data isn't great, he said. So I think that we need to take a big step back, regroup, and figure out how we can move forward. And there's more. The company also plans to show users fewer recommendations. On Wednesday, Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg
just show me who I follow.
Said that recommended posts and accounts in feeds currently account for about 15% of what you see when you browse Facebook, and even higher percentage on Instagram. By the end of 2023, that figure will be around 30%, Zuckerberg said. So that's, I think, if I'm reading this right, they show you 15% of your feed is recommended. It's going to go to 30. They're literally telling you right now they're going to show you more recommendations. Their whole goal is to get you to consume more and more of other people's shit, and it sucks you in, and it's fucking annoying.
Do you remember the days of Facebook, like I'm talking 2008, 2007, even 06, when it would literally, your news feed, when the news feed first became a thing, it would tell you every little thing that somebody changed on their profile, like this person changed his info to this, or this person did that, and it would show you everything that happened across the platform on Facebook. Now, it's like you don't see a post from half the people you are friends with at all. I see group posts for the most part, and I do like Facebook for groups, but besides that, I mean, I'm rarely seeing anyone's post.
I don't see anything because I don't even go on Facebook now for personal use.
That too, yeah.
And I barely do for business. And I don't go on to TikTok at all, other than to now post our own reels and our own content, because I'm not going to get sucked into the algorithm. The issue with Silicon Valley and so-called taking risks is they're taking risks to copy other platforms and apps. The issue is they're not making this big, bold, brand new idea and trying a risk on that idea. They're taking something that works somewhere else, like TikTok, that already exists, and implementing it into their own platform. That's why these new platforms like Snapchat, they became a big thing when they started Memories, or their version of Stories. And Instagram kind of stole that. Yeah. But TikTok, same thing. They were first Musical.ly, and now they're TikTok, and everything is video based, like that 15-second video, 60-second video, or whatever. And now Instagram is trying to copy that, and it just never really works out when you try and copy somebody else. Facebook has tried it for years. Nothing really works. It did work on Instagram when they copied and when they made stories,
but I think they did that fast enough.
They flat out copied Snapchat with stories, flat out.
But I'm saying Memories, which I think was their version of Stories, came out first, and I'm thinking only a few months, instantly Stories started coming out.
They saw the writing on the wall. They saw they needed to do this, and they want people not to go on these other apps. That's their whole thing.
Yep.
But continuing on with more of this quote, after we talked about the figure will be around 30%, Zuckerberg said, but Instagram will temporarily reduce the amount of recommendation posts and accounts as it works to improve its personalization tools. Mosseri wouldn't say by how much and exactly. Quote, when you discover something in your field that you didn't follow before, there should be a high bar. It should just be great, Mosseri said. You shouldn't be delighted to see it. Oh, you should be delighted to see it.
You should be, yeah.
And I don't think that's happening enough right now. So I think we need to take a step back in terms of percentage of feed that are recommendations, get better at ranking recommendations, and then, if and when we do, we can start to grow again. I'm confident we will, he added. I hate recommendations that I get. Do you know how many underage dancing fucking girls in scantily clad wearing nothing that I get, and then you look at the account and it's like account run by dad, account run by mom. You're like, really? You're cool with your 12-year-old wearing nothing and dancing to some shit music?
I get the same stuff, and I don't follow any account that has that kind of stuff going on.
Exactly.
So I don't understand why is it being recommended to me? Because I'm a 34-year-old male, or
well. But the other thing is, on some of these, you look at it and you're like, wait, they've got 1,000 followers. How did you manage to choose this to be a recommended post to a person?
they're not blowing up. Yeah.
Right. And then the other ones that I get, the religious ones, which I thankfully don't get too much, but it's like, I haven't had segs in 7 weeks, and boy, do I feel great. Yes, segs. They write segs because they think sex gets caught in the algorithm. And it's like, just fucking say sex, you fuck. It's like, I used to be a segs addict. I love it. I'm like, oh, you're hot. I could totally sleep with you. And this is of age people. We're not on the underage anymore. These are like 27-year-old girls who are like, I found Jesus, and Jesus is better than segs. And I'm like, eh.
But you know what he was saying, like, you should be delighted to click on recommended feeds or whatever it may be. I will be delighted when I see someone that I follow that I took the time to directly go to their page, hit follow. I want to see more posts from them. That's what I want to see.
You don't want to see girls that don't want to have sex anymore?
I don't want to see underage girls dancing and showing everything off. And it's like, but how is that even allowed?
Well, right. They're under the 13 years old thing, but it's just like run by mom. And then you get these other ones, and you're like, you got braces. Not that there's anything wrong with braces, but I don't want to see you and your frickin' friend fake dancing. And you know that they're shitty content creators. And because I want to comment and be like, you fucking suck. And so they get used to seeing what bad comments are, but I wouldn't do that. Where they're dancing in like the aisle at a store, and they always look to see if people are around while they're dancing. It's like, do you know how dumb you look? Do you know really how dumb you look making this video right now? Because you're not confident enough to just dance and focus on the camera. You have to be looking left and right while you're doing the half-ass dance. I'm dancing right now, Steven.
You got the moves, man.
But then the other one is, I put it in Photo News Fix today, that I don't know. There's this, she's a Christian photographer only, shooting just Christian stuff. And she either has a major gap in her teeth, or I think she had her teeth modified so that when she smiles, it's a cross.
Oh my God.
Seriously. I think it's for when she smiles, it's a cross. Because I can't see how her teeth would have formed that way.
Yeah.
A gap I can see, but not the bottom teeth being shaved down a little and smaller.
I think you showed me her before, right?
Yeah, I put it in Fix this week.
It does kind of look like, a cross.
I blurred out everything but her mouth.
Yeah.
You know, for the cross.
I mean, she's a public figure, right?
Now, if she blows bubbles, does it come out like a cross? Well, I don't know if she's a. But why was I getting recommended her? I get the photography thing, but then the religious part of it, terrible. But when I would flat out get that one guy, that one super religious guy who really is like
Follow
a cult
Jesus.
follower.
Yeah.
It's like, if you're not following Jesus, you will go straight to hell. You will not pass go. You will not collect $200. You'll go right to jail for Jesus. And if you don't like Jesus, then I think you're totally failing and you need to come to Jesus. That's lots of Jesus talk today, Steve.
There is
it's
a
your
lot.
fault. It's your fault.
Hey, do whatever you want. I don't care. Just don't push it on me. That's my thing.
Right. So I don't want religious. I should be able to say, don't show me any more fucking Psalm 38:40 or segs that I haven't had segs in 8 weeks, because I'd want to be like, you're hot. Are you single? Because I did. I said that to the nun once. There was a post that it sent me this nun, and I think she's kind of cute. I'm like, ooh, look at these eyebrows. I think this nun girl, she wants to be a nun, looks really hot. Woman, whatever. And I'm like, this is pretty cool. I'm like, I think I'd have sex with her. Sorry. I'd have segs with her, I think. Right?
What was the movie? Was it Saving Silverman, where they had to stop her from being a nun or something like that?
Oh, that I don't remember. I was thinking of the other one, though, with Ben Stiller and Edward Norton, where Ed Norton plays the priest and Ben Stiller plays the rabbi, and they were both in love with the same woman from the time they were kids. Keeping the Faith. Yes! Keeping the Faith. I got it. It's called Keeping the Faith, I think. It's actually a pretty good movie from back in the day.
I don't know if I saw that one. Yeah, I'll have to add it to the list.
It's pretty good. But but yeah, this nun, she puts a camera. She uses nice lighting, and I'm like, yeah.
You think she's
I'm
single?
like, I think so. I think I asked her if she was single once in the comments. And people are sitting there going, Jared, if you interact with these and share them and I never like that. But if you leave a comment, you're going to get more recommendations for it.
It's got to be.
But I also say dildo a lot, and dildos don't get recommended to me. I say that to my friend. She's always like, it's always weird. I haven't opened Instagram in 8 weeks or like 8 months or whatever it is, but it's somehow they always seem to show you something that you say. So I'm talking into the phone. I'm like, dildos, vibrators, ball sacks, and that never actually shows you dildos or vibrators.
I will say there is some weird recommended sponsored posts that I see, and I'm like, I swore I just had a conversation with somebody about that 20 minutes ago, and now all of a sudden that's on my phone.
And it is. They are listening.
Oh, yeah.
They've admitted to listening. And you may start to see stuff for your wife because you're in close proximity to her. So your phone and her phone are always in close proximity. So they know that if they learn that pattern that your phone is near there, they might start recommending you things for the house that you may be like, oh, so maybe your wife will start getting recommended a lawnmower and be like, oh, this is a really cool lawnmower, Steven. You should consider this.
Look at all this
What's your
lawn
dream
equipment.
mower? What's your dream mower?
Probably like a Toro zero turn.
Well, how much is that?
I think it's the Titan Max. It's like a $10,000 zero turn mower.
Dan, you don't have a microphone. Fuck you.
What?
Dan just walked in.
Jesus.
Dan, do you want to say hi on the microphone to everybody?
On my microphone that I've been spitting on the past hour?
Yeah, say it from a distance. There, that's Dan from a distance.
From a distance.
Bye, Dan. We're busy. So, which Toro Max do you like?
The Titan Max.
Oh, Titan Max.
There's like an all black edition. It's like a limited
size
release.
Is that?
I don't know. It's like a 60-inch deck, something insane.
Oh, how much is it?
I want to say it's upwards of like 10 grand.
Titan Max Zero, $69.99.99.
Yeah, but there's a couple different models, I believe.
This one's red. Titan Max Zero Turn Mower, $76,601, $7,000 on Toro's website.
Oh, it's not 10 grand. I'll buy it then.
Isn't that too big for your lawn?
For my backyard, it's not. I'm on about almost half an acre. So my backyard, I ended up buying a used riding mower, and just because it would take me literally 3 hours just to push mow it with a 21-inch deck, and now I have a 46-inch deck, and it takes me maybe 30 minutes.
Do you know what you should do, Steven?
What?
You should open up your fence.
Oh, and I have
night.
A golf course behind me, for those wondering. So I've got mowers going all day, every day. It's almost kind of annoying because at 6:30 a.m., I think, they usually start mowing, and it's like every other day. Well,
what I was going to say is you should open the door one day. Like you should, because you like riding your mower, you should go out and cut the grass on the golf course and see what they say, if they even notice. Because you're just like, I'm just testing out my zero-turn Titan Max.
Oh, my God. Imagine if I went on the actual green and tried to cut the freaking Bermuda grass on the green.
Yeah, I don't know how they do that. Back to TikTok. Let's see if there's anything else. So they're pulling back just a little bit. I think it's bullshit. I think it's one of these things that they say they're pulling back, and it sounds good to say, sorry, we need to do better. And then people are like, okay, cool, we won. Because no, the petition didn't work. It's just people were getting loud about shit, and they're like, okay, let's take a step back and tell them that we're going to make this change, but actually discover a way to finally have that solution we want to have. So we'll take this one on the chin, but it actually is a good thing because it's going to distract people from the next thing we're doing. So yeah, that's what I got to say about Instagram. We'll follow and see what they do, but they're going to continue to do what they're going to do. And you as a creator need to not just bitch that they are, it's not photography anymore. Shit evolves, right?
Yeah.
These companies need to survive. That's what they do. It doesn't cost us anything to be on there. We're using their service. We choose to do it, which means you can choose not to, but you have to try and find a way to stand out or do something different or work the system.
Yeah.
And that's what we're working on a bunch of TikTok content and Reels content, and I don't know that it's going to work.
It's tough. It's hit or miss.
Yeah, I don't know that it's going to work or not.
For anyone saying they have the answer and crack the code to YouTube Shorts or Instagram Reels or TikToks, it really is truly hit or miss unless you have an insane amount of followers on one of those services.
I still love when those people who have been around for not a lot of time start selling their service. One, I'll just call them out, Think Media, that you go on YouTube and you're like, wait, how do they have 3 million views a month? And you're like, each one of their latest videos is getting 8,000 views, but they have almost 2 million subscribers. And then you realize they just run ads nonstop, which are pre-rolls, and those pre-rolls count as ads. So they're paying for views because they're trying to sell a service.
They've got to be paying a lot for those views though, right?
Well, they're probably paying, pennies per view, and it adds up. But it's not like, so their reason for getting views is that that's the only way they can get people into their channel, to get them into their funnel, to then try and buy their program on how to be a YouTuber, which is fucking annoying because they don't know how to be a YouTuber. They're trying to sell how to be a YouTuber because they had some success chasing numbers, but don't have sustained success. And I saw they even had Gary Vee in Vegas at their Think Media event that they had. They even put on a conference and got people to buy tickets to go to this bullshit.
Oh, wow.
To think that they're going to learn. To think they're going to learn. I am anti those conferences. I really am. Where you go and you listen to Gary talk and yell at you saying that there's, just go do this shit. And I do
it's
attribute
all common sense stuff.
I do attribute
you just
a lot
gotta
of
start.
Well, that's what I say, but I do attribute a lot of my kick in the ass very early on in 2008, 2009 to seeing Gary speak, but realizing that he was just saying that there is no secret, and these people that are trying to sell you the secret are full of shit. And so that's why I have that mentality, and I always thought that that was right, and it was nice to have validation of that. But I hate I hate the conferences because what happens is people get their heads blown up so far because they think it's so amazing, and they had such a great experience being around community and all of these other people that they have to go back every time there is one just to get that feeling again, right? But they also think that they're going to go home and do something, but as soon as they get home, they get sucked back into their normal 9 to 5 in their normal life, and they never take any action on actually doing anything. That's why when speakers are up there, they're like, less than 1% of the people in this place are actually going to do something about it or be successful.
Not many people have that drive.
Gotta have the drive.
Have the drive and to be able to take that risk too at a certain point in your life when you have a family to support or you have a 9 to 5 job and you're trying to work off hours. And obviously if you do have children, that's hard as well. It's not easy. I think of Casey, for example. I mean, if you ever looked at some of his older videos where he would break down his schedule, he would sleep for like 4 hours and then everything else was dedicated to, there would be like maybe 13 hours dedicated to work and then still like 2 hours somehow with family time. And his schedule was completely filled 24 hours. But you got to be dedicated like that to really make it work.
Let's change subjects to something that we've actually had on the notes for a couple of weeks, and that's accepting shitty quality audio and video. How it's become acceptable to accept shitty quality, and it's become the norm. And that comes up because when the pandemic hit, news stations couldn't bring people in to the station, right? They couldn't bring them into their studio to film it or to do a live transmission. So everybody started to do Zoom, which means people were using laptop microphones and people were sitting there with shitty light, no light, or just light coming in from the lights above. And it looked terrible and it sounded terrible, but it became acceptable on TV, and it's continued to be acceptable on TV today. And it's not that hard to have quality audio and video, especially for these celebrities or politicians who find themselves going on TV every single day.
Well, especially with, like Rode, they came out with the Rodecaster Pro, their little deck. They made streaming services way easier. We have Zoom now that you can plug in a decent microphone. You can get a cheap $100 or even less than that. There's the Yetis and stuff like that. There's ways around getting decent audio besides using something like an AirPod. Just put some effort into it. Try to give a shit. That's my thing.
Yeah, and the other part is, even if they do have the microphone, they don't have proper microphone etiquette. They put it 5 feet in front of them.
The absolute worst thing that I hate seeing is when someone has a microphone, they're filming themselves and they're talking into it, and it's not routed correctly. So it's literally just taking the feed from their webcam, and they think they're talking into an actual microphone, and they can't tell the difference, which blows my mind. I'm like, dude, you're not actually talking into the microphone. It's not hooked up.
My buddy, I looked at his podcast that he was doing on YouTube, and I was like,
happened to him,
the
right?
Yeti is on the desk, but I'm like, can you check your settings, please? Because it sounds like it's just the overall microphone. And he's like, oh, it hasn't been connected. Like it's not selected. I'm like, yeah, there's a big difference. And so it's not that hard to get a lavalier, right? You could get a lavalier and plug that into your computer.
Yep.
You could get like you said, a basic Rode deck or any type of interface to allow you to do that. You could get a mirrorless
you can
camera.
get a USB microphone too. It doesn't have to be an XLR type microphone where you need, actual XLR inputs or.
But if you get the microphone, maybe speak into it. I really think that most of the people who are going on TV should get a YouTube lavalier microphone, or they could do a Bluetooth microphone, just at least something that puts it up near their mouth, because they sound so terrible, like they're in a tin fucking can. The Macs sound better, and when they're not using a Mac, they're using the other keyboard, the other computers, and those microphones definitely don't sound good.
But like you said, also with mic etiquette, when they're not actually talking into the microphone like I'm doing right now, and proximity effect. The more closer I get, the more boomy my voice is going to be, the cleaner it's going to be. But when they talk like this, and it's 4 inches away, and they think it's going to sound better or sound good, you have to be right up against the microphone. Proper radio etiquette, proper any etiquette when it comes to a microphone.
Yeah, and we've always been a big proponent of quality over everything. And so if you're going to be going on TV, maybe invest a couple $100 into a mirrorless camera, even if you got a M50 Mark II or any type of Canon. I think the Canon mirrorlesses are the right way to go. Even a ZV-E10, right? If you did that and you had a couple of LED lights, you plug it into the computer, you're going to get better than a shitty webcam that's built in, and it's going to look like you give a shit. That's the thing that it just doesn't make any sense, especially when the politicians go live or just anybody goes live on TV and just has terrible everything.
And back to YouTube, when it comes to proper microphones and equipment, I am surprised YouTube doesn't have their own type of store and they have their own YouTube microphone or like a starter kit. I'm really shocked they haven't all these years come out with something.
They are rolling out something, but not like that. They're rolling something out where if you may, that there will be recommended gear to buy based off of the video. So if we're talking about a specific item, then B&H might be able to buy ads against that when it's mentioned, and then it shows up that someone could make that purchase, and then they give you a percentage of the sale, but it's not the same percentage that you would get if you sold directly. So it's like fractions of a dollar every time it's shown. They pay you every time it's shown, not every time it's bought.
It's not like an affiliate link.
No, and I've been part of the beta, and I don't even turn it on for most videos because I don't want people buying from I don't know who. It's whoever buys the ad. It could be this is bought from Google Marketplace, but who's selling it, right? I don't want that type of thing going to people. Don't you love when you give someone a recommendation because they want to start a podcast and you give them every ounce of info on what to buy, how to set it up,
and what not to buy,
and what not to buy, and they buy what not to buy?
Yeah.
And then ask you how to use it?
Yep, that's my favorite.
Yeah, that is my favorite.
I mean, it's same thing with cameras too. Giving them a list of, hey, these are probably the top 5 that I would start off with, given that budget. And same thing with lenses, and they end up cheaping out and buying something that you didn't even recommend, and then they're upset about it. And
this was a good deal.
Yeah. Well, it was like $200 cheaper. It's like, yeah, but now you're going and buying the camera I actually recommended from the get go, and you're losing out on money, and you're realizing like this is the money I should have went with from the rip. Yeah. It frustrates me because I put a lot of thought and effort into making these lists for people when they do reach out, and I put too much thought and effort into it, to be honest, and then they end up not even doing what I offered.
You put out some very detailed information, Steven.
Yes.
Lots of detailed information. Speaking of detailed information, how can one put out a video that says, how do you, that the Nikon Z8 leaked?
Did it?
No, it didn't leak. It's a false rumor. Now, I'm not sure what title I put up for Photo News Fix yet, but if I was to say that the Nikon Z8 leaked, guess what I would put there?
Question mark?
A question mark. Because that's what sets you free, is to put a question mark and not a definitive.
Yeah.
And leaving it blank is a period, right? That is equal, in my mind, to a period. So if you say...
It's fact, yeah.
Nikon Z8 leaked... Well, that's a definitive. If you say Nikon Z8 leaked question mark, that's asking a question. Did the Nikon Z8 actually leak? And sometimes to add something to it, emphasis, we'll do question mark exclamation point. This is really important
Nikon
to listen to.
leaks?
Right. But this is not basically what happened is Nikon Rumors posted a shitty rendering of a Z8 and said that this might be the new this is not the new Z8, basically is what they said, but then go on to say that the Z8 will have 47 basically have the Z9 sensor.
Same frame rate too, they're saying?
They didn't. I don't know if they said that, but this video I'm talking about that had breaking news in it doesn't, it says that definitive that the new Z8 will have the Z9 sensor.
Yeah, but when did the D800 series ever match the flagship 1D or D1 series? D5, D6, all that.
The D750? No, the D700.
It had the same sensor as, say, the D3 or D...
I'm pretty sure the D700 had the same sensor as the D3 or something at the time.
Okay.
Right? Let me look.
I mean, we're also dealing with different technology now where we're talking about stacked sensors and high frame rate.
Nikon D700 used $149. Oh, that says D7000. I didn't type in 7000, you fucking fuck.
Well, the D700's so old.
Nikon D7 used $311. Let's see. Key features. Nikon 12.1 megapixel FX format sensor teamed with Nikon's Xpeed digital image processor. So yeah, this was the same as the D3. That the D3 had the 12.1 megapixels, right? And so
they have done it in the past.
Yes, they have done it in the past.
All right. So it's not necessarily off the table.
No, I guess it's maybe not off the table. But I don't know where they would be getting their information to say that the D8 that it would. I can't see them using a stacked sensor, because what other company has done it? Canon hasn't put a stacked sensor in an R6, R7, R5, R10, only the R3.
I mean, I don't know. Do you consider the A9 below the A1?
Well,
obviously
the A9 is a stacked sensor, but that's a 24 megapixel stacked sensor. They haven't. That's different. That was the first one out.
Yeah.
That was their first stacked sensor.
And initially, at the time, it was their flagship.
But they didn't take that A9 sensor and put that into an A7400. Or sorry, A7000. Sorry, A7R. Fucking Jesus. A7 something. Right? They haven't done that.
Yeah.
I don't think that Nikon will take a Z9 sensor and put it into a smaller body. Now, do I question that now that we're saying they've done it in the past and made it cheaper? But it was slower shooting. It did 5 frames a second instead of 12. There's going to be such a big trade-off if they go ahead and do something like that. It's going to be a major trade-off.
Well, I could definitely see giving it the same sensor but limiting the frame rate to 15 frames a second. I would be very shocked if they gave it all the bells and whistles that the Z9 has. 30 frames a second JPEG, 20 compressed RAW, all of that. Why buy a Z9 at that point? I mean, yeah, it's more of a heavy weather-sealed body with a vertical grip, but I mean, what's different about it? That is the selling point of the Z9, is again the high video frame rate and the frame rate and megapixels and stats.
It would just be like, how could you dumb it down? Like, enough?
How do you sell the D or Z8 supposedly for say $3,500 to $4,000, and then the Z9 for $5,500, and there's not much difference?
Right. Why would you dumb it down? So I think they also said they think that it would be like 20 frames per second, which is a lot of frames per second. I mean, that would be, if they did come out with a Z8 with the same autofocus as the Z9, with the same sensor as the Z9, with the ability to buy a vertical grip, I guess. But why would you slow it down? I mean, at that point, you don't need a stacked sensor. Would they take the shutter out? I mean, are they just making a mini Z9? I can't see that happening. I can see a Z7 III
well,
coming
the Z9
out.
already has no shutter, right?
That has no shutter, but would they take the shutter out of the Z8? Or are they just making a mini Z9 and just charging less? Can they make money off of that?
Yeah, I mean, do they also, when it comes to video, do they limit that? But I would think it would have all the same video features that the Z9 would have, because it's the same sensor.
I have no idea. I don't know. I'm now questioning everything. Because even in Photo News Fix, I'm like, nah, they're not going to do this. I just can't see them taking the same sensor and doing it.
I mean, it is what they need. If they had the Z8 should be a mini Z9 essentially. So it's not a bad move if they did
but maybe do it with a shutter. Yeah, I know, but
I could see it pissing off a lot of Z9 users if that's the case. If it comes out soon.
Speaking of pissing off Nikon Z9 users,
it's what you love to do.
I've been getting a lot of messages from Z9 users that are like, I made a mistake buying this, or
Really?
I'm not happy with this, or I got one. The first one was bad, and I had to send it back, and it took months to get another one. I had someone send me a message. I guess they were in Europe, who said that they got their first one and it had this major issue, and they sent it back, and they wanted the warranty extended by Nikon because they're like, well, I didn't have it for 2 months, and it had an issue. I think the 12-month warranty should start over, and they were like, no. We're not extending it.
What was the major issue?
I don't know what it was on this one. But I know personally that one of the people that I shoot with quite often at the soccer, who has the Z9s, is like, my 70-200 just stopped working on the brand new 70-200, stopped working on his Z9. And he's like, sometimes I have to pull the battery to make it work. And I get this red box that won't focus and it won't do anything and it won't take pictures. He's like, that's happened to me in the middle of shoots numerous times, and I can't get any help from NPS. So I dropped an email for him, and he ended up getting a lot of help directly from the people I dropped the email to, because I have the ability to go right to who needs to be gone to. And it just sucks because they're upset. Like, look, I spent all this money to buy this, and it's not doing what I needed to do, and I can't get help to get it fixed. What am I supposed to do?
And obviously he's Team Nikon. You know, he's a hardcore Nikon user, buying all the latest, greatest
2 Z9s,
gear.
Every Z glass, Z6s, Z7s, all had the D5s, multiple of them.
Do you have to pay into NPS annually?
No, I think that's free.
I think Canon you have to pay into it.
I think Canon you have to pay. I don't think Sony you have to pay.
Yeah.
I don't think, I mean, I'm not a part of Canon.
I was going to say, if it's a paid service, I'd be very annoyed that NPS did not get back to me.
It's just reportedly that a couple years ago, NPS got rid of most of their people. And so there may not be a lot of people on that team anymore, you know, as Nikon has downsized certain things. We want to see Nikon succeed, but I've been talking to a lot of people who are now interested in trying other systems, right? Like, I talked to the one guy, I'm like, when I talk to people, I'm not pushing a single brand per se. I'm more pushing the technology that a certain camera might offer that might be useful for this type of photography that this photographer shoots. And in that case, right now, it's a lot of, I think you should try Canon. I think you should try an R3. I think you might see some better results than what you're getting, because you're fighting your camera, but this might be a good choice. But it's very difficult when someone's $40,000, $50,000 into a system. And that's why they're torn and also a little upset at the same time, because they know that another system might be better. Now, I also say this too, that there were times where when the D3 came out, Nikon ruled the world of sports photography for a 4 or 5 year period, while Canon languished behind. Canon had it before the D3, and then they languished with the 1D3, the 1D2, then it was the 1D3 that had the mirror box problem. And through that whole generation, 4, 5, 6 years, Nikon was eating their lunch. And then they came back and they just did what Canon does. But there's always these ebbs and flows where you're not going to switch. But when you're a full-time working professional, this is another thing. People talk about, you know, oh, I can't believe someone owns all of this. I used to say it when I worked at the camera store. How does someone come in on a Tuesday and decide to spend $10,000 buying this gear? And then you come to the realization that they're working pros.
That's their profession.
They get paid.
Yeah.
This is what they do. They need the right tool. And so a lot of times there are people that can jump ship and switch if that tool is going to make them better and if it's going to help them get better results. So I have been talking to people look, if someone has a Nikon system and they need help, I get them the right help that they need. If someone has a Sony system and they need help, I put them in contact with the right Sony people. Like, they say, yeah, this happened when I was in, and people don't know this because I don't share that I do this, right? I'm saying it now, but people just don't know what I do on the back end.
Yeah.
When I was in Chicago talking to a Chicago photographer who was shooting Sony, couldn't get a 70-200, couldn't get certain things that he needed, I put him in touch directly with the right people at Sony to make sure that he could get what he needed.
You go out of your way to help them out.
Well, there was another kid who shoots a lot of space stuff, wanted to get a Z9 and an 800 6.3. So I made I made a call and I said, can you get an allocation of these two items that this good Nikon shooter, they're a Nikon shooter, they want to stay with Nikon, wants to get? Can we do this? And they're like, yes, we'll make it happen. Same thing happened. Someone needed an R3 and it's like, I can't find one anywhere.
And they're still paying for it. They're not getting free gear.
They're not getting anything less. No, they're paying full price.
Yeah.
And the same thing happened with the R3. Someone's like, I can't find one anywhere. I've been trying. And this is someone I know who has a ton of gear. And we're talking $30, $40, $50, $60, $70,000 worth of Canon gear. So for them to get an R3 for their business is a good thing, and they can afford it. So I was able to make that happen too, where they had a chance to buy it.
Well, and speaking of being a professional and upgrading your gear and getting the latest and greatest because you're getting paid for it, I hate when I'm at a wedding and I see a photographer with an older camera, whether it's a DSLR or something that's even 5 years old, and it's like, you're probably getting paid $4,000 to $5,000 for this wedding. You're shooting 2 weddings a weekend. You're booked for the entire season. You have plenty to go out and buy a brand new $2,500, $3,000 body, or more,
or top of the line body.
But you're only doing that every couple of years. I mean, why are you not upgraded to the latest greatest? That's what
the best glass,
or the best glass. You're shooting with a non-L lens on an R5 or something, something like that.
Yes. Or on an R5, just adapting. Now, there's nothing wrong with adapting.
No, I agree.
There's nothing wrong with adapting, but if you're going to shoot weddings, you need a 50 or an 85 1 too.
If they have the equivalent that's updated to the newest RF mount, for example, you should be getting that, like the 51.2, not a 51.2 EF version adapted.
It's a write-off, Steven.
It's a write-off. It's basically free.
It's basically free, right? But no, that's when you're a working professional, you get the right tools for the job. But it's just been disappointing to get messages from people who are like, I made a mistake buying a Z9. And I'm not just saying it to fucking shit on them. It's just the facts that people are getting them and they're like, I had major issues. And I also am not happy with what I'm getting, like what's going on here. And it's disappointing. And right now it is disappointing what's happening. We don't know where Nikon's going to go. We hope they come out with some good stuff. If they do come out with a Z8 that has the same sensor, I'll be the first to say I didn't think this would happen.
Yeah.
And I'll say it.
I mean, hey, the Z9 was a great Band-Aid for the system, something they absolutely needed, and a step in the right direction. But they're still definitely a little behind the other two brands, but they're at least on the same playing field now.
Yep. Anything you want to say before we finish up? Because we're going to wrap it up so I can get to lunch and my important phone call coming up.
No, I think I'm good on my end. Again, as usual, every Friday we try and release these at midnight Eastern Standard Time. So hopefully this week we'll get it on time. Last week
I screwed that up. I got busy. I was with my friend. She was over, and I got distracted.
Well, so I edit these anyway, so I'm just going to take over the process of uploading it on the back end and scheduling it. There's really no need for me to give it to you and you do that work.
All I need to give you for podcasts is just a title.
Yep.
And we just do title and then a little bit of a description and then set it to go live exactly at midnight on Fridays. So that's Thursday into Friday morning. You'll have a new episode. Subscribe on iTunes if that's where you do it so it can auto download. I use Spotify myself.
Leave a review. It's been a while since someone has left a review on Apple Podcasts. iTunes. Yeah, iTunes.
Yeah. Leave a review if you like it. And if you don't like it, fuck you. Don't leave a review.
Definitely don't leave a review unless it's 5 stars.
You probably didn't get to this part. I mean, if you got this far, if you got an hour and 10, 20, 15 minutes into this podcast and you fucking hate us, fuck you. Don't leave a comment. I don't know how you would get this far and not like us.
Positive comments only.
No, real comments only. But fuck you.
But make them good.
I mean, we don't. If you're gonna say something negative, make it a constructive criticism thing.
Yeah.
Right. Don't be like, you guys fucking suck. I listened to the whole thing though.
This is how you could do it better. I don't mind that.
And then I'll be like, you do it then.
It's so damn easy. Then why don't you do it?
If it's so easy, you do it. Like someone who left a comment, because I'd still like doing my comment replies, because someone's like, you shouldn't read comments. I'm like, well, I got to read comments to get to the good comments. But when I see the dumb comments, I love sending those replies back and then copying them and putting them live. Like the one person's like, oh, so basically what you're saying is you get the best camera, the fastest glass, you use this technology, you press a button and you get the results. Anybody could do that. And this was about the Brett Michael photo. And I was like, you're anybody. Did you get the shot?
Ooh, sick burn.
Fuck you, bitch. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Keyboard warriors.
Anyways, episode number 10 of RAWtalk. I'm Jared. You're who?
Steven.
I'm going to sign off.
Do it.
Thank you guys very much for listening. Jared, PolinFronosphoto.com. See ya. Don't say it, Steven. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye.